So once again, good morning, boys, and Pallavi. Pallavi, I hope she has joined. So we were basically talking about the last concept in this chapter: factors affecting enzymatic activity. And we said there are different factors that affect enzymatic activity. One is the temperature, second one is the pH, third one is the concentration of the substrate, and fourth one is presence of inhibitor. So there are four factors that affect the activity of an enzyme. And I told you, I gave a precaution to all of you that since term 1 for you slated in November, December will be MCQ form, multiple choice questions. One statement will be there. Down you have A, B, C, D choices. Sometimes E also may be there. A, B, C, D, E. Now, in that questions, maybe these graphs will be given to you. Okay, factors affecting enzymatic activity. So you need to draw with your own hand, mentioning what is slated on x-axis, what is shown or what is depicted on y-axis. What is x-axis, y-axis, and what are the units? Units also important. For example, our Prajwal will write x-axis temperature. Okay, and there you will write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Will that be okay, Prajwal?
No, sir.
No. So what Prajwal has to write? He has to write in degrees centigrade or Fahrenheit. So normally we measure our body temperature with centigrade. We are comfortable with that, no? What is our body temperature, Prajwal?
37 degrees.
So at that body temperature, all of us know that enzymes will be very, very active. And whenever, I said yesterday, whenever we get fever, temperature, our body temperature goes to 38, 39, 40, 41, 42 also, isn't it? High temperature. Then you must have observed, you must have felt by yourself that during those days of fever where your body temperature has gone up, are you feeling hungry? Were you feeling hungry, Naveen? No. Why, Naveen? And doctor will tell your mummy, make Naveen to drink liquids, lot of fluid diet, fruit juices particularly, isn't it? Or at the most Naveen will be eating bread, Chinese school bread. Why? You are not feeling hungry, basically because the body temperature has shot up. When body temperature has gone up, enzymes get denatured. That activation site present in the enzyme will be deactivated. Hence, let us make Aslam to get inside. Aja Aslam. Yeah, let me see once whether the room is locked. Yes. Okay, now you can enter. So once the body temperature goes up, what happens, Naveen? Enzymes get denatured, deactivated. And once the enzymes are deactivated, Naveen doesn't feel hungry. Why? Whatever food that we take, ultimately it has to be broken. And Prajwal says, end of digestion. What is the end product of digestion in Prajwal, in all the three Prajwals? Glucose. So glucose is the last product. And you understand that this formation of glucose requires enzymes, isn't it? Like we said, take fats for example. Our Prajwal is eating lot of sweets, ice creams, chocolates, and all oily substances, and cheese, butter. Okay. Then what happens, Prajwal? Fat content has gone up. Prajwal become debauchate. So that is to be digested. And who is doing that? An enzyme called lipase. Isn't it? If lipase enzyme is there, then lipids will be broken, fats will be broken into fatty acids and glycerol. What about carbohydrates? Prajwal is eating 1 kg rice, 20 chapatis. Prajwal Kadkol, I am talking. What, Prajwal?
Yes, sir.
1 kg rice daily, 20 chapati, 30 puris, is it? Prajwal?
No, sir.
No, your diet is restricted, no?
Yes, sir.
Only in science school mess you will eat like that.
No, sir.
Science school mess also less, no? Okay. So
Yes, sir, respected.
when we eat all this, what is that we are eating? Carbohydrates. Prajwal's intake is carbohydrates. And just see all the boys of 11th class and Pallavi today lunchtime, and I'm sure all of you must have had your breakfast. I hope all of you had your breakfast. Naveen particularly. Naveen Gowda. Had no? Very good. So what was the breakfast? Naveen? What was the breakfast you had? What is it? Okay, roti. Okay, roti. What is that roti biologically? Carbohydrate, no? So Naveen had carbohydrate diet. And lunchtime also you see, Naveen, what is that you are eating? What is that in front of your plate? Majority carbohydrates. So that should not be there, Naveen. Basically, we South Indians, we eat lot of carbohydrates, which is not good. It should be balanced diet. Carbohydrate, protein, fats, minerals, vitamins, and of course, Naveen Gowda should drink at least 10 cherigi of water. In terms of liters, I advise you 6 liters of water you must drink, 6 to 8 liters. Then you are healthy boy. Pallavi will be healthy girl. Water is important. But I am saying it should be clean and pure water. Don't drink some dirty water. And being biology boy in 10th class you studied, 90% of the diseases are waterborne. Naveen knows that. How many of you are from Bagalkot? Naveen? You are from Belgaum. How many of your friends are from Bagalkot? I think at least 10 boys will be there from 11th class. And backwaters of Krishna river you must have seen. That's why Bagalkot fellows are being shifted to Navnagar. Isn't it? If we drink that water, what will happen? You must have seen, even though you are from Belgaum, Naveen, you must have seen the backwaters of Krishna river from Almaty towards Bagalkot. So there is a need for filtration. Even for our school, what we are doing is we are filtering and getting it, no? For all of you. Filters are arranged, even in your houses, hostels. So this is required. So first priority is you must have balanced diet, plus you must drink plenty of water. And all this balanced diet that you are eating should be digested. And who is helping it? Thanks to enzymes. Carbohydrates are being broken down to glucose because of the enzymes. Proteins are broken down to amino acids thanks to proteases, enzymes called proteases. Fats are broken down to fatty acid and glycerol thanks to lipases. Isn't it? And these enzymes, whenever temperature of our body goes up, will not work. Then what happens, Naveen? Fats will remain fats, proteins will remain proteins, carbohydrates will remain carbohydrates. So when Naveen eats rice, which is a carbohydrate, it stays there in his belly. So since already stock is there in Naveen's belly, he is not feeling hungry. So you must have observed, there are so many doctors. The moment you go to a doctor with a fever, normally they will advise you to go for blood test, urine test, that test, if possible X-ray, all that. What for? To rule out all the possibilities of dangers. Plus, doctor will be getting lot of money. That is a different story, Naveen. That is the inner meaning. And then what happens? They give you one paracetamol. So all the tests costed some 20,000 to Naveen, and 50 paisa paracetamol will be given by the doctor. So Naveen enjoys. He says, "Sir, Belgaum doctors are very good." Isn't it, Naveen? So here, what I am saying, Naveen, the moment the body temperature goes up, enzymes get deactivated. In the absence of enzymes, who will do the digestion of carbohydrate, digestion of proteins, they remain as stock. So Naveen Gowda will not feel any hunger. Right? This is the meaning. And you can also see in the graph. That's what I am predicting, that even in exams you may be having these graphs. Further down, let us see here. See, he is plotting temperature graph. Look at that. It is your English alphabet U, reverse U. Isn't it? Prajwal? Reverse U, no? Alphabet U. Almost. So on x-axis, what you are plotting? Temperature. And just now I said, when Prajwal is plotting x-axis temperature, he has to write in degrees. Maybe you can take a scale, like in mathematics you take, no? 1 unit is equal to 5 degrees centigrade or 2 degrees centigrade. So our Prajwal will start off with 0, 2 degrees, 4 degrees, 6 degrees, 8 degrees, like that. And enzymatic activity. As the temperatures are low, you can see the graph, almost half of the graph it is slowly picking up. At low temperatures, enzymatic activity is almost 0. Look at that. It's almost 0, nil. That means, that is the reason why Kadkol will not feel hungry during winters, and temperatures are very low, and even our body temperature feel less, low temperatures. And as we reach the body temperature, look at that, 37 degrees, and he has marked with the blue line, dotted line. Enzymatic activity is peak. Isn't it? All the three Prajwals, observe that. Ramling, at 37 degrees centigrade, we have got a vertical line depicting highest enzymatic activity. What our Naveen Gowda calls optimum enzymatic activity. Isn't it? And again, see, when the body temperatures are going 37 plus, 40, 45, 50, look at that, at 50, 55, it is duck out, 0 enzymatic activity. Why? As I said, at high temperatures, enzymes get denatured. The sites only will be blocked. And similar is the case with pH. Look at that. And I said pH scale is, you can plot it as 0 to 14. Isn't it? Pallavi is waiting, Raghavendra is waiting. Okay? Right. Is it locked, Naveen? Yes. Yeah, now I have unlocked. Right. So, you can see in that graph, one red line is there, again, bell curve, we call it. I think you also call it bell curve, no? In your mathematics or physics. Look at the pH scale, 0 to 14. Now, pH scale, the other day I said, if someone asks you what is pH, you define pH as negative logarithm of H plus ion concentration. Isn't it? Negative log of H plus ion concentration. And this is represented in a scale ranging from 0 to 14. And 0 to 7 or 6.9 is acidic, acidity. 7 neutral. 7.1 to 14, it is alkaline or basic. So whenever the value of the pH is indicated in this range, you understand whether that particular substance is acidic, neutral, or alkaline. Okay, whether it is acidic or alkaline or neutral. And you can also do, being a 11th class boy, you can do small experiment at your home. What is that? I'm sure you got your in some shops pH ribbons are available. Okay, you have used it in your chemistry lab already. So you can make pH strip, it is correct, and then pH ranger strip also is there available. You can do small experiment even after coming to school also you can do. Select your own favorite fruits, favorite vegetables, make them crush, juice, extract, put the ribbon, you will come to know how many fruits that you consume are acidic, how many fruits that you consume are neutral, how many fruits that you consume are alkaline. You can have a data. And then based on that, doctors will advise sometimes during particular disease, don't eat this, don't eat that. Do's and don'ts, they give you list. What is to be eaten, what is not to be eaten, isn't it? This is based on the pH. It is based on the pH. And even for some people, they test the pH of the gut, small intestine. How much is the pH of the person's gut? Based on that also some diseases can be avoided. So this is very useful, this pH scale. And as we said, the pH, enzymatic activity, look at that. When it is exactly 7, it is reaching the peak. The bell curve is reaching the peak. When it is acidic, severe acidity, look at that, between 1 and 2, enzymatic activity is 0. As the pH scale moves to 3, 4, 5, 6, the enzymatic activity started going up. And after reaching the peak, optimum at 7, now there is a down trend. Look at that. The enzymatic activity is coming down as we reach pH 8, 9, 10, 11 almost touching 12, almost parallel, and 12 to 14 parallel to x-axis, means zero activity, enzymatic activity. So again, this should be kept in our mind. Okay, so this is how the temperature and pH will decide. Next, concentration of the substrate. Look at that. We just now in our last previous class we studied about lock and key mechanism of enzymatic action, and this lock and key mechanism is that enzyme will be functioning like a lock and substrate will be working like a key, and the substrate will be fitting into that activation site of the enzyme, correct no? And once that is done, products are formed. Now when the substrate is low concentration, look at that, substrate is low, enzymes are there. Now since active site of the enzymes is available, quickly products are formed. And you can see when the high substrate is there is no place for reactants to fit into the active site of the enzymes, isn't it? This is expected. And look at that. Graphical representation, S for substrate, and on x-axis it is substrate, on y-axis it is velocity of the reaction, speed with the direction of velocity.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so you can see here the graph is taking a upward trend. After that it is becoming parallel to x-axis, and it is just behaving the Vmax, means the velocity at maximum velocity, Vmax. So we can find out by using this formula Vmax by 2 the average enzymatic activity, right? So here substrate is reactant, Reactants are called substrates. See here, we are putting substrate, small dots, and they are all going and sitting in the groove of the enzyme. That groove is activation site of the enzyme. That's correct. Next factor is inhibitor. If there is any substance which inhibits, which blocks the active site of the enzyme, then what will happen? Enzymatic activity will not be taking place, products will not be forming. Look at that, the enzyme plus substrate, but unfortunately what happens? Inhibitor also is present in the medium. Before the substrate goes and sits in the active site, this fellow inhibitor will go and sit. So you got a enzyme inhibitor complex. Okay, but here inhibitor is present in the medium, but it is not blocking the active site. Then we say non-competitive inhibition, means inhibitor substance is not competing with the substrate. Substrate is reactant. I hope you understood. It is there. Inhibitor is there. What is inhibitor? Some chemical substance which is parallel to substrate. Substrate also is a chemical substance. Enzyme is a type of protein. So when substrate tries to go and fit into the active site of the enzyme, though inhibitor is present in the medium, it is not becoming a competitor for the reactant. Okay, presence is there. Then we say non-competitive inhibition. Whereas the danger one is this. Look at that. Enzyme with active site, substrate is present, inhibitor is present in the medium. Before the substrate is going and occupying the active site of the enzyme, what happened? Inhibitor has gone and sat. What will happen, Naveen, with this?
Substrate will not be.
Substrate will not be converted into product because active site is not available. Somebody else has occupied. Like whenever in the class Naveen wants to sit in the front desk, what happens? Prajwal has already come and occupied. Isn't it? Front desk. And what Naveen will do? Okay, sir, no problem, I will sit at the back. Isn't it? This is non-competitive. But if it is a competitive one, Prajwal's favorite class and Naveen's favorite class also, then what happens? Naveen will pull Prajwal out and occupy the place. This is what happening here. Competitive inhibition. So one example is giving for the competitive inhibition. Look at that. Succinate, okay, is becoming fumarate in the presence of succinic dehydrogenase. I told you anything that ends with ASE is enzyme. Okay. So here malonate is similar to the substrate succinate. So it inhibits succinic dehydrogenase in the following reaction. Now see, succinate should be converted to fumarate. Here succinate is the substrate or reactant, fumarate is the product. And who is converting succinate into fumarate? An enzyme called succinic dehydrogenase. Correct? But who is becoming competitor for this succinate? Malonate. Okay? Malonate is becoming the block for that. Look at that. Enzyme, there is a substrate. Here the substrate is succinate and the inhibitor is malonate. Enzyme inhibitor complex, and look at that. The enzymes, the substrate plus inhibitor. Who is going and sitting there? Malonate is going and sitting there. As a result, fumarate will not be formed. This is the example. You must remember the exam, right? I hope you understood. The competitor. Yes, Raghavendra?
In the competition, sir, inhibitor and the substrate, sir,
Hmm.
can't remove inhibitor, sir.
Yeah. Substrate can't remove inhibitor because first come first serve. Who is active? Like that's why I gave the example of Naveen and Prajwal. Prajwal gets up early and comes and occupies the first desk in the class. Naveen Gowda comes after half an hour. There is no place. He has to sit at the back. But only thing is, if Naveen Gowda, being Gowda, has got more energy, then he will pull Prajwal out and occupy. So if inhibitor has got less energy and substrate is more energetic, as you are telling, it can do it. But here, substrate and the what you call inhibitor, both are of equal strength, then first come first serve. And who is occupying first? It is the inhibitor. So in this case of example, malonate is the inhibitor. It is not allowing succinate to sit in the active site of succinic dehydrogenase. So instead of succinate, malonate is going and sitting there. So fumarate will not be formed. Understood?
How to come to know which is having high energy and
Yes. That's a good question. It depends upon the reaction. What type of reaction? Is it endothermic or exothermic? The other day I told you the two reactions: energy release and energy absorbed. That will decide. Plus, always we can remove these inhibitors. We can have in the medium we can create a situation wherein, like you take the same example, Prajwal occupied and Naveen Gowda coming late to the class, he has to sit at the back. But Naveen Gowda is too intelligent. What he will do? He will bring one desk and put ahead of Prajwal and sit. Isn't it, Naveen? Yeah, Naveen can do that, no? Even if he comes late to the class, he will bring along with him one desk and sits in the front. Like that, here we can change the medium, the condition of the medium, wherein we can make the inhibitor to come out and make the substrate to get inside just by altering the energy levels. That we can do. That's always there. But what we are talking is something that happens naturally. Okay? Right. Now we come to the next part of it: classification and nomenclature of enzymes. How to classify enzymes and how to give names for them. Of course, giving name is easy. How, Naveen? Just by knowing their function. Like many times you must observe, whenever I was using the names of the enzymes, you were guessing, like lipids are broken down to fatty acid and glycerol. What is the name we gave for the enzyme? Lipase. So the moment Prajwal hears the name lipase, Raghavendra understands that it is related to breaking down of lipids. Isn't it? Like that, naming of enzymes will be easy based on their function. Now let us see how many the enzymes are classified based on the function. One is the oxidoreductases. I think in chemistry you heard one word, redox reaction. Have heard, Naveen? Redox, reduction, oxidation. Both will take place. Reduction also will take place. Oxidation of the reaction also takes place. Then we say redox. So redox reactions are being monitored by these enzymes, oxidoreductases. And basically what happens in reduction and oxidation? Either addition of hydrogen or deletion of hydrogen. Correct, no? Am I right, Naveen?
Is there addition of oxygen or
Addition of oxygen or deletion of oxygen? And even in terms of hydrogens we can define that. So we say dehydrogenases. D means removal. What we are removing? Hydrogen. Who is doing this? An enzyme called dehydrogenase. Correct? So here the dehydrogenases, what they are doing? Look at that. Reduced, S is reduced, S dash is oxidized. What are the products? S getting reduced becomes oxidized, S dash getting oxidized becomes reduced. So the products are both redox reaction products. Clear? Second one is transferases. As the name suggests, their duty is to transfer some functional group from one place to another place. He is giving C S minus G plus S dash. See the marks, minus and plus. Products, S dash minus. I want you to focus on that, it is not S. Product is S dash minus G plus S. Is there any replacement? Transfer of groups? So the name transferases. Then comes hydrolases. Hydrolases means addition of water. AB plus H2O giving AOH plus BH, because water is broken. Hydrous means water, lase breaking. So breaking of water molecules. So H2O is broken into H plus and OH minus. That OH is added to A, H is added to B. As a result, products are AOH plus BH. And then lyases means something that enzymes that are responsible for breaking. X dash, C dash, C dash, Y. Products X minus Y plus C is equal to C. Look at it, there are a lot of changes. Bonds are broken between X dash, C dash, C dash, Y. That's the function. That's why we are calling it lyases. Then isomerases, yeah.
Are they single bond and double bonds?
Even if it is double bond, triple bond also, they can break. Basically, Raghavendra, to break any product, energy is required. If it is single bond, e.g., little bit of energy, single bond is broken. Double bond, little bit more energy. Triple bond, more energy. Basically, we require energy. With the energy, we break the bonds, right?
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Sir, the 3 bonds can be broken easily rather than second and third.
Yeah, you are right. And in that hydrogen bond, weak bond, all of you know in chemistry. Just to break the hydrogen bond, a little bit of energy is enough.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And then isomerases. Again, in chemistry you heard, what are isomers? We say mirror copies, no? Mirror images. Right? Mirror images we call it, isomerases. So, enzymes that form mirror image of chemical substances is isomerases. ABC becoming BCA. If you observe A, B, C on both the sides, constituents are same, but the way they are arranged is different. You define, no, that formula, molecular formula, isn't it, and empirical formula, isn't it? Then ligages, something that attaches. Enzymes that attach, ligages. Example, X plus Y plus ATP. Now, what is the purpose here of ATP? We require energy to join two substances, X and Y, to be joined. So, products XY and ATP is broken down to ADP and inorganic phosphate. ATP is adenosine triphosphate, energy currency we said. When it is utilized, it is broken into adenosine diphosphate and inorganic phosphate. Clear? We will see particular with examples we will study on Monday. Right? Until then, take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.